Today I am out in my front yard. It is -2 Celsius, 28 Fahrenheit, and I'm going to harvest some carrots. And today I want to share with you guys a technique that I've discovered just by tinkering on how you can do carrots, keep carrots in the ground all winter long with minimal infrastructure to prevent freezing, and you can harvest really nice, ready to eat carrots out of the ground at below freezing temperatures. So will this work at -20? I'm not exactly sure, but I can tell you that it has been -10 Celsius I'm referring to every night for the last, I think, 3 weeks. So it's cold. We've got some snow happening now, not a lot, but we've got some. And I'm going to show you guys how this is working for me. So I've got my bed here. This was just one of my 30-inch wide raised garden bed boxes, just like this. And I've put a little polytunnel over it. And underneath the polytunnel, we've got snow off here. So I had a bed of carrots planted in here. These carrots would have been planted probably in July or something like that. Around September, I went in and I topped the carrots. So the carrots are underneath here, and I've basically got a mulch on here. It's like wood chips and fall leaves that I just picked up around the neighboring streets with my trailer. And because I don't have any, I don't have a lot of deciduous trees on my street. But I don't think I have any actually. So I have to just travel around a couple blocks to get some leaves. And what I've done is I've layered a nice thick, you know, with the chips and the leaves, I'd say about 4 or 5 inches of mulch on top of my carrots. So again, in the late summer, I went in and I topped, you know, for the most part, all the carrots off. So that way I could put this mulch on really nice and it would stay right on the top of the soil. And the idea here is to give an insulating layer to the carrots so that I can harvest them. Because what typically happens in the winter, because I've done overwintered carrots on my farm for many years, but what typically happens is if you're just doing them in a greenhouse, a lot of times you won't remove the tops. You don't necessarily have to. I used to not bother doing that. But what will happen is that the ground will freeze. Once you get around -5 at night consistently and below Celsius, the ground will freeze. And so this means you have to harvest carrots on days that it's above freezing in the greenhouse. Once you get past mid-November and that's happening consistently, it might only happen for you once or twice a month. So sometimes you don't get those windows of time at all. And it's nice to keep them mostly in the ground and just harvest what you need when you need them. So when I come out here, I usually just harvest like a nice Ziploc bag worth, maybe call it 3 or 4 pounds of carrots, and that's enough to last a week or so for my family. So once I pull back, I just come in and pull back a layer. So this is kind of where I last left off. Is where there's no longer carrots there. And so I just pull back a layer. This bed is just 2 or 3 rows of carrots. So you can see once I get in here, it's nice and soft. And the ground just in the bed next to me is totally frozen solid. And you know, without exerting a ton of force, I can't get this pitchfork into the ground. But here, I can just even stick my fingers in and the ground is nice and soft. And I'll show you as I harvest some here. I just kind of wiggle the fork in, just loosen it up a little bit. And then that's enough just to reach in here and pull out some carrots. And they're lovely. They're not frozen at all. And they're not frozen on the tops either. This is one thing I've noticed by doing this opposed to the way I did it on the farm, is I didn't put any mulch on the top. So sometimes the top of the carrot would be wrecked a little bit and it would be okay, it would still be fine, but it would shorten the shelf life. So this way I have no breaks in them at all, and I just find they're in a lot better condition this way. But this is more work. This is more of a homesteader context type thing than it would be a commercial farm. I couldn't imagine going and, well, you know, maybe you could, but it would be a lot more work to go and mulch, you know, multiple 100-foot beds of carrots, especially on a big field. Like, to keep it contained with the leaves would be a little bit more difficult. One thing I like about the raised beds is it gives me this off the ground area that doesn't get disturbed as easily. And so things like this are more possible. I mean, this is certainly possible on a farm. It's just, you know, it adds some work. And then when I'm done, I just make sure to cover it back up a little bit. The tunnel is probably one of the most important features in this, in that this keeps the mulch dry. I don't think this would work as well if I just had this mulch in the open and then it was raining and freezing and snowing and freezing and all that. I don't think this mulch would act as an insulation barrier. Just like if you had a wet blanket on you, right? It's the same idea. So that's all I needed for carrots. I'm gonna go wash these up and bring them in the kitchen. Hope you guys found that helpful. If you did, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. See you in the next video.